I don't know if anyone from the addressed people will watch this. They usually live in their own bubble, detached from the brutal reality on the ground, and without concerns about anything that does not affect their lives here and now, and not showing interest to random material online. But if by any chance you are one of those who have the means and possibilities, then I have an offer which might save your life, family, and even wealth. So I humbly ask you to listen and consider what I have to say. I am offering us all a chance to oppose the change of future CBDC system, to preserve our safety, security as a group based on our European heritage, against destruction of our European nations and the hostile culture's takeover of our lands, governance, and even an insurance in case of a scenarios of a system collapse or possible civil wars or a greater conflicts which might occur in the future in our countries, in Europe and North America. The civilization of European nations in Europe, North America, Australia and New Zealand is in downfall because of falling birth rates, uncontrolled immigration, the ongoing destruction of our traditional values, society, and the spread and normalization of a modern cancerous culture everywhere. You may add to that the incompetent leadership in all countries across the West, either directly treacherous or intellectually incompetent to make a healthy rational decisions. The spread of non-European people, their cultures and religions on the lands of European ancestors. The people of European origin are committing cultural, ethnic and civilizational suicide, becoming weaker and dumber with each new generation, slowly submitting and accepting to being replaced by a new majority of non-European origin in our own countries. We are all to become either completely enslaved by the progressing implementation of a tyrannical police state plutocratic system, or we will witness a competence crisis, an economic and social collapse which might lead to a civil conflicts or even another great war. You may compare our situation to the one on the Titanic. After the ship collided with the iceberg and started sinking, it was not visible instantly for the first-class passengers. The music was playing, the alcohol was served, and the party was in motion, even while the ship was slowly going to the bottom. The same applies to the successful and the wealthy people who are detached from the reality of our situation as long as they can afford doing so, as long as the consequences of the lower decks being flooded with water do not affect their first-class cabins and the party at the upper deck. Money might buy you time, peace, the illusion of safety and stability, but it's just a matter of time before the water reaches the upper decks and there will be no place to hide, run, no matter how much money you have and no matter how many preparations you made, because this metaphorical ship is the system that we are living in, and there is no escape from the system in our reality. If the current world system is to collapse, you will, with your assets, will remain at the mercy of the society and the people. And if those people will not share your values or heritage while being the new majority, then they will unlikely respect your life or anything what you own, seeing you more like an alien and a possible threat which they will need to get rid of. We have seen this happen in Africa, the Middle East, and any other post-colonial countries. So the same applies to us in Europe and North America, or anywhere else where we will live as a hated minority during times of economic instability or a long-term crisis. No matter how the situation will evolve in the future, one thing is certain: the current system is not sustainable, and the damage done by the failing birth rate and the constant flood of migration are irreversible, and it's extremely dangerous for the future of us all. I presented all possible scenarios for our future in my main material with the solution summary and the plan, which should be linked in the video description below, if you are interested to know more. I worked for years to find a solution, how to secure our future and how to make a stand for our future survival as European people with our European heritage, how to save what's best from our culture, values and way of life, or even bloodlines. I did come up with a realistic solution, the only one viable for us all to use. An ambitious and costly business-oriented operation, but we have a very limited time for its implementation. And that's why I am making this appeal. We do not have time. We need major investment into the realization of my projects from the plan. Fast. We need business angels who share our concerns and financially are willing to invest supporting our work. In short, we need to start building a system within the current system, to build us a real position of power in the future to represent our interest in this world, to safeguard our survival and well-being within the modern and the future society. Everything relies on the success of various business initiatives, which I outlined in my main material with the plan. And to make that come true, I need access to resources and other means, which some of the wealthy European people, especially from North America and Europe, could provide. Personally, I am hunting for individuals with talents who could work with us, but I also must have access to capital for this investment, because what I have available for now is simply not enough. You won't take your money to the grave, and whatever you accumulate for your own children might be taken over and redistributed in the future with force by people who will democratically take over control over our countries. In exchange for your contribution or any other support, I offer us all a chance to make a true stand for our European heritage, for the preservation of our traditional way of life, for the protection of our families, or even your wealth. I explained the details of my plan, all the planned business initiatives, and more in my main material with the plan, which I named the only realistic solution, because I outlined there a bare minimum which we must accomplish on time, if we are to make a difference for the future of our European people, and all of us at an individual level. And there is no other initiative or anything similar proposed anywhere else. So we either do it the way I propose we should, or we will remain in our agonizing state, submitting and going down to the bottom as we did for the past few decades. If you understand the situation is bad, how is it getting worse? If you are looking for a solution, then be reasonable. Consider what I propose in my main material with the plan. Study the details and help if you care. We all must engage ourselves in the realization of the proposed plan, or at least to support it, or none of us is going to make it on the long run. The main material with the plan is linked in the video description below. Oh, and one more thing. I'm sure some of you did notice in the mainstream narrative how they cry about the growing disproportion in the distribution of wealth, how the overwhelming majority of people are poor, and how the rich are selling and damaging our countries for profits and generally money. Now picture the reality of the future where you will have white-looking elites at the top, while the society at the bottom will be mostly non-European. And add to this the factor of the worsening economic situation all across the West and the dropping quality of life. It appears to be a very dangerous mix, which if destabilized might lead to some form of revolution again. And the rich people who are not part of the so-called big club at the very top might become a target for the so-called angry mob. Please read between the lines of what I just said and recognize the additional threats in the rhetoric for yourself and your families. This dangerous rhetoric will be more popular with time and with the worsening economic situation in our countries. You all will need people to stand with you to protect you in times of need. Help me save those people now so they can help people like you in the future. Thank you for your time.